Yes, Gov, it's talking live. It's Neil Atkinson with Fuad Hasan, getting settled in for what is going to be a fantastic semi-final second leg at Arsenal. Fuad, the Liverpool manager, pretty much since he arrived at Liverpool in October 2015, has been absolutely amazed that the League Cup semi-final is a two-legged contest. When he got in that first season, and I think it was Stoke we had home and away, and it was in the end it had to go to penalties. He was absolutely agog. We play each other twice? Well, to what end? Why? I feel a bit like in Jurgen Klopp's head. This game tonight away at Arsenal is really weirdly, because it's 0-0 in the first leg, away goals don't count. I think this is like, in his own mind, he's like, well, this is what it should be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is I'm all in for this evening against Arsenal, because this is what it should be. And ultimately, I think that's going to be Liverpool's outlook is, fuck it, we'll play Arsenal, we'll play them at the Emirates, and if we go through, if we win, we go through. If they win, they go through. If we need penalties, we need penalties. This is what it should be.
Yeah, exactly. And Pep Blinder said the same thing, I think, in his press conference, how, the end of that home game, he was sort of like, he was really positive and quite excited, looking forward to this one, because he knew this is what they want to create. They want to create nights like this where, I think it will be a bit mad. I don't think it will be the sort of disciplined game maybe that we saw Arsenal kind of get forced into last time. I think they will have to go for it, and both sides will be very much up for that. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm going down, later today with a few from the office, and it's going to be great. I'm looking forward to seeing Liverpool in a semi-final, number one, and also that trip to Wembley and the chance to get that trophy, in February would be great, because this Liverpool side deserve to have more trophies than it currently has over the last couple of years, and this would be a great one to start off with.
Yep, in the comments, someone said that they like that it's two legs and that I'd rather that than semis at Wembley. I mean, let's be honest about this. I'm very jealous of Fuad Hassan's afternoon and forthcoming evening, but it would be even better if he was going to Villa Park for this one, for Liverpool versus Arsenal at Villa Park. Fuad, the whole of the Holt End. It would be absolutely dreamy stuff if that was the case. That would be a way to do it. That was spectacular. Liverpool have got the experience of semi-finals, but there is a minor point here, which is that a few of these lads haven't. And that's not a bad thing. You only get experience by doing things for the first time. But, I think that this is a side that has got experience. It's got experience in the base, in the goalkeeper, in the likely centre-half partnership, in what we probably think will be Fabinho and Henderson in the heart of that midfield. Milner to come off the bench as the game wears on, I suspect, Fuad. So there is experience in there, Roberto Firmino as well. But even a footballer like Diogo Jota hasn't got that experience of a big semi-final yet. So that's why I think that this is a big one even for players who we now sort of view as really experienced professionals. I'm not sure if Jota has ever played in a semi-final.
Yeah. The good thing about that, though, is, it's quite clear these players that we have in, and, no matter how inexperienced they are, they've clearly got the character and the personality to kind of embrace it. And rather than be a bag of nerves and be a bit of a burden on them, I think that they'll be so excited. If you're Diogo Jota, that's why you signed for Liverpool. You signed for Liverpool to play in games like this and, to show what you can do on the biggest stage. I think for Wolves, one of his big nights for Wolves was in the FA Cup when they beat United.
Fifth round against United,
Fifth round, was it? Yeah, okay. So not quite a semi-final, but, he's been in these occasions where, it is kind of, do or die kind of thing. And look, the base is the main thing. As long as that base is there and it's strong, you sort of trust anything around that. And you want to have players that maybe do come in a bit fresh. That could be to your advantage. Curtis Jones showing his personality on the pitch would be brilliant. Taking people on and trying to make things happen.
Absolutely. Rodri in the comments, did Jota play in the FA Cup semi-final for Wolves? Good shout, Rodri. You may well have done. Excellent detail there. They got beat, though, Rodri, so we're not counting it. The last thing I need is experience of getting beat in semi-finals. We're not about that at all. We're not about that in the slightest. There is Fuad, I think, a couple of aspects. Again, in the comments, interesting pointing out there, Helia Mateus says, Curtis Jones and Joel Matip, notable absentees from Tuesday's training, asking about the status for today. The thing I think on this is, it wouldn't surprise me if Liverpool have got a little... still have one eye on Sunday's game. I think they should have one eye on Sunday's game. I think that'll be the attitude with Oxlade-Chamberlain as well, certainly from the start. I think there's going to be a little bit of, Liverpool have got to be ready for Sunday, but also that gives other people an opportunity. I would love to see Joe Gomez start tonight. I really would. I think Liverpool have got to find a way to get Joe Gomez back playing regular football pretty soon. It'd be a hell of a vote of confidence from the manager to pick tonight's game, but with 5 subs. Gomez plays against Leicester, does really well second half next to Konate. Konate makes a massive difference, don't get me wrong, but at some sort of point, Liverpool have got to trust Gomez. It wouldn't surprise me if, even if everyone was absolutely fully fit and flying tonight, he picked a different centre-half partnership for Van Dijk than Matip.
Yeah, definitely. I think Gomez. I've missed him. I've missed him over the last kind of few months because if you go back to the level he was at, there's no reason why he can't reach that again. And you sort of maybe for his own confidence, he needs reminding himself that he can play in this Liverpool side again. The injuries obviously just knock you back, and you're waiting for your opportunity. He comes on, doesn't he, in the home game towards the end and gets a few minutes there, but. Yeah, I'd love to see him because I just think he's, the pace is also really useful. I think in how we're going to probably look to play today, and if he's next to a Van Dijk, then there's already a relationship there. There's a partnership there. He's again one of those centre halves. Him and Matip always seem great, coming back kind of from the cold into the side. And if he does play, then you're more than confident that that's the best thing you could say about these Liverpool centre halves. Is any two of the 4 or 5, even if you go towards Phillips, he picks, you're more than happy with and more than kind of confident with that they can do the job.
The next thing that he's got to sort of work through, I think, is I thought in the first leg there was 2 major issues I felt in the first leg from a Liverpool point of view, especially after Arsenal go down to 10 men, but also arguably in a sense just before. The first is set pieces. But the second one, and I'd rather do this first, was the starting position of Diogo Jota. Yes, he wins the red card, and he may well score for playing from the right. But ultimately, I think he looks so much brighter and better playing from the left. And we got to see it against Brentford. So that therefore begs the question as to who plays from the right. Do you think he may be prepared to just whack Cade Gordon in and give him 50, 55 minutes, 60 minutes even against this Arsenal side, rather than mess about and end up moving positions or compromising Minamino?
I think he might end up doing that, and I think part of that might factor into the weekend as well, like you're saying before, with kind of moving players about. Oxlade-Chamberlain will be a huge miss because I think that performance against Brentford was sort of kind of confirmed that he can do a job there, and he can benefit the other players in that front line with him. But I think I've always said in this period, this AFCON period, you've sort of got to do everything you can to get the best out of Firmino and Jota. And I think, your goal scoring threat is those two. And you do whatever you can really, within reason, to make sure that both of them are in the best kind of positions that they can be. And they sort of got in the way with each other there a little bit in the home leg. And, obviously everything changes when you go down to 10 and you don't know what the game looks like in any other kind of set context. But I think playing Jota off the left, I think is the way to go for this. And I think, you're more than happy to trust Cade Gordon to come into the side, and again 5 subs, so you can move things around, you can change things if needed. But he looks like he's ready. He looks like there's enough leaders on that pitch as well to help. It was noticeable on Sunday how Henderson was kind of straight at him every time he played a nice ball. Every time he was sort of around him, he was there in his ear and sort of helping him along. And you feel like there's enough experience alongside there for someone like Cade Gordon to come in.
Absolutely. Nice comment there from Col the Red, or Col Third. Good to see you both got the maroon jumper memo. One day, Col, I will nail this down and we will do Tuxedo Thursday. But for now, we will just go with the maroon jumpers and stick from there. Excellent shout in the comments asking the question from Shintan Barrott. Ali or Kelleher? Fine with Kelleher. Seen enough to trust him to perform. It's a bit of a big one, this, for the manager. In the previous leg, he did say, this is Kelleher's competition, but we need to get Alisson into a bit of rhythm. There is the game on Sunday looking ahead. It seems a bit of a stickier decision now. I would have just presumed it'd be Kelleher, and then it might be a big call for the final. But it wouldn't surprise me if he goes with Alisson, but it also wouldn't surprise me if he goes with Kelleher.
Yeah, it was funny at the press conference. I think Pep was basically, when he was asked the same question, he went through all of his goalkeepers and said how great all 3 of them are. And there's obviously a question mark there, I guess, because usually they just sort of say, don't they? They say, well, Kelleher is going to play this, and I'm more inclined to go that way. If you sort of told them this is what you've got, you've got the League Cup, then I think you have to go with it. And the fact that he's at that stage now, isn't he, where he's showing that he's not a young, Pep said himself, he's not a talent anymore. He's there, he's arrived, he can do everything that a Liverpool goalkeeper kind of needs to do, and that they're looking for. So I think you go with it with him. He's played in big games before. He's played against, in the Champions League. He played against Ajax in a pretty big game last year. So you trust him, and he's clearly a really calm, cool guy as well. So I wouldn't be worried about either one of them, playing in this one. And I think, Alisson's got the weekend. Alisson's got the Champions League. There's more than enough games for him to build rhythm, I think, coming up. So I think you go with Kelleher.
I was going to ask you about the set pieces, Fuad. John Anthony in the comments says, do we pose enough of a threat up front from open play? Our corners and set pieces are generally poor too. Where are the goals coming from? I mean, I will point out Liverpool scored three against Brentford and possibly could have got more. Jota gets in 3 times over the course of the game. Van Dijk should probably score with one that's cleared off the line. But Liverpool did look blunt in the first leg. Diogo Jota, that was the second highest scorer in the Premier League so far this season. It's worth pointing that out. But on the set piece, yeah, he is. Yeah, wow. Everyone overlooks this. So basically, it's Salah first with 16 goals. Jota second with 10, Vardy third with 9, and Mikel Antonio, Emmanuel Denis, Cristiano Ronaldo, Son, Smith Rowe, interestingly, Rafinha and Sadio Mane are all joint in 4th place with 8, which is bearing in mind. Conor Gallagher's joint 11th with 7.
Has he? Wow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's lovely flowing long hair make a massive difference. The set piece thing, though, is I thought you saw Liverpool carried a real threat from set pieces against Brentford. A side that have defended set pieces well over the course of the season. It looked to me like they'd gone away and worked on it a bit in a really almost basic Sunday League way. Like, this cannot go on because they were so bad in the game against Arsenal, the home leg.
Yeah, and it's funny with set pieces, isn't it? Because a lot of it is the delivery. Virtually all of it is the delivery, and if for whatever reason one of them is slightly off it, then you are going to get what happened against Arsenal. No one was doing anything particularly bad in the box. The balls were just really poor. And, Brentford was the complete opposite. You could tell from the first corner, we looked a threat. And you suddenly, the kind of height gets revealed in the Liverpool side, and the aerial threat in the Liverpool side gets revealed. And, Fabinho's quietly grabbed a couple goals now. And he scored, I think, previously as well from set pieces as well. He's a little poacher in the box when it comes to those corners. So I think Liverpool have to use everything at their disposal. We talk about defining different ways to score and players missing and whatever. Set pieces is a huge thing. And when you have the quality that you do of Trent and Robertson to deliver crosses in, and you have again the quality in the box, there's no reason why we shouldn't be looking to score more. But, I think every side complains about their set pieces. It's a thing with every football fan. Everyone should be scoring loads from corners, but unfortunately it doesn't work like that.
Very rarely lead to a goal. I mean, Jota will have a different problem, more focus on him when he's not playing with Sadio and Mo. Absolutely, but that was also the case on Saturday, Amit, and he hits the post and misses 2 other very good chances, including a one-on-one against the goalkeeper. We'll get there with a Paul Goulbourne in the comments. Could we get it sorted in 90 minutes, please? My youngest has negotiated a late pass, and he will be a nightmare if he gets sent to bed while it's still going. Paul, I'll come round to yours if you send him to bed if it goes into extra time. He's got that late pass that covers him until the bitter end, Paul. One way or the other, that late pass is all the way, mate. You cannot move the goalposts on your youngest right now. We do not do that, Paul. We're better than that. We live our values here, and if he's got till 90, he's got till 120, and he can be crabby in the morning, but he'll learn his lesson. Exactly. But a chat about Dembele being told he can leave Barcelona in January. Any chance we're in for him? I mean, Phil, we're not short of lads who trouble the physio, for fuck's sake. So I mean, we've got to bear that in mind here. He looks really exciting, but we are not short of lads who trouble the physio. Some people would like more. Nish would like more crisp chat. I wouldn't want to tread on Robbo's toes. He's been telling the crisp story for many a year. We will let him move forward with that. Just wanted to quickly, this athletic piece about the tests for a while and what's gone wrong from a Liverpool point of view in there, what they've tried to do, that they've tried to be belt and braces, and in the end, that's what's undermined them in terms of going to an external testing provider. For me, I'm of the view here that this is, because it's a wider Premier League question, and because there's so much bad faith that knocks around between the clubs all the time, the whole thing just feels a little bit overblown. I would rather, the same with Arsenal, we've had a recent controversy with Tottenham. I'd just rather believe that on the whole, the football clubs are trying to act in good faith. I mean, for God's sake, Burnley can't even get a fucking game on, and they're going to get relegated because of a fixture congestion issue. Over the course of this season, Burnley, they seem in a bad nick on and off the pitch. But genuinely, I'm sure they'd love to be able to play games. Footballers themselves would love to be playing games. And yeah, I think that maybe some clubs might try and manipulate the situation, but I just think everyone's got to presume levels of good faith, because the opposite will just drive everyone mad over the course of the season.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, like you're saying, this it's just sort of another example of the long list of the mistrust in football between clubs, between governing bodies, between everything, between everyone kind of involved. And you feel like it could have been avoided a little bit from the start. Really, I remember when the first kind of game got postponed, and there wasn't that you had nowhere to look to see what the kind of rules were and what sort of clarity the Premier League provided. It's all been quite grey, and I know there's a lot of grey in this. You can't really have black and white kind of rules and regulations on this necessarily, but transparency is another issue, because that just leads to more mistrust. And I heard Pep Guardiola yesterday was kind of talking about how they've had COVID issues, but none of it's been publicized, none of it's kind of been shared, and that's how the club have decided to go with it. And I'm not sure if that's all these little things just lead to everyone sort of thinking the worst and kind of suddenly thinking there's always kind of some sort of malicious foul play kind of intent at work here. And yeah, this thing with Liverpool, it's hard to kind of see what they were supposed to do in one sense, because if you think you have an outbreak of 40 players or staff,
you get the director of public health in Liverpool involved, and he says, "Close the training ground, please."
I'm not sure what else you're supposed to do. Yeah, it's one of them, isn't it? I mean, someone just had really bad luck, and like the typical thing in football, it's going to get jumped on. And I feel like this piece, unfortunately, might just open it all up again when it's sort of unnecessary and it's sort of not needed at this stage, because at the end of the day, we're in it to watch football matches and play football matches, not to sit there kind of looking at why games are called off all the time and saying this manager is playing kind of dirty or this club's playing dirty. I don't think that's healthy for this season and for the rest of kind of the league.
Yeah, absolutely. In the comments, Adam Jones had a late pass at 8 years old for 2005 Istanbul. Don't you dare revoke his late pass for some kind of... I think Adam Jones there is just simply bragging about the fact that he is 25, rather than actually offering us any actual insight there. Adam's giving it the big one. Paul Alexander used to be woken for midweek sports special when he was younger. Paul, honestly, I am a man who can fetishize nights watching Sports Night, Wednesday, 10:30 on the BBC. Steve Ryder in his absolute pomp there for that one. The last little thing on all of this is the one thing we now know, and I don't think it would make any difference anyway. The three lads have got through to the next phase of the Africa Cup of Nations, and I'm pleased for them in all seriousness, and I think that we should be pleased for them, because I think even if they were coming back, they wouldn't be in the selection picture for the game that's coming up against Crystal Palace on Sunday, let alone tonight. I don't think they'd be in the selection picture for Sunday's game. Then there is the extended break. There's the the Cardiff game that could well come the day of the African Cup of Nations final. If they aren't in that, they'll be home by then. They may well be in the selection picture for that one. If not, there's then the Leicester game on the Thursday. So there's a lot of people making sort of comments about Liverpool's Twitter thing, saying it was through gritted teeth or anything like that. I don't think it is. I think that now that they've gone, now that it's happening the way in which it is, I genuinely think at the club, and the supporters could have their own outlook, but at the club, I think there'll be the idea of firstly, all three of them can't make the final because they play for three different countries. But also, secondly, there'll be an idea of, can they do as much as they can? Can they enjoy themselves? Can they get what they want in terms of their own personal achievements? Liverpool will be all about that.
Exactly, and we're talking about three players who are gods and icons in their country. So this means a lot to them, and it might be a good thing. Naby Keita scores a brilliant goal the other day. I don't know if you've seen it. A really, really good goal he scores for Guinea. And maybe this is what they need, a little bit of confidence, because him and Mane obviously been great when they Mane's been, I think he's been a lot better than a lot of people have thought maybe this season. But maybe they do need to go away, and a little bit of a change environment can be a good thing. And I think you want them to each get as far as they can. Salah again is Egypt are looking quite solid and look like they might go quite deep into it. But you sort of think and you trust that they've got enough plan. Again, Pep Linders said that they knew about these players going in pre-season, and the plans for now started in pre-season. And we could say what we want. The annoying thing about that Arsenal game is it completely warps everything because of what happens in that match and how the circumstances completely change. We never really get to see for a decent length of time what this Liverpool team's plan is to play without these two players or three players. So I think that there are plans there, and it was always going to take maybe a little while to see that in fruition. But I trust them now. I think that Brentford game kind of showed that they've got that ability to find different ways and to do different things and have that solid foundation. It's back-to-back clean sheets, which is always a good thing.
Huge. I mean, ultimately, if they have a clean sheet tonight, then at the very least we're getting a penalty shootout.
Exactly.
And I look the same on Sunday. I think if they have a clean sheet against Crystal Palace, they will beat Crystal Palace, because at some point they will create an opportunity that they'll take. For me, this is, and that can not just be the bedrock for this run of games, Fuad. I think that can be the bedrock for the rest of the season. One of my criticisms of Liverpool at times this campaign is they have been a little bit open. If there's ever a time to put a run, and I mean 8 or 9 clean sheets in the next 10 games together, ever a time to do that, it's right now.
Exactly. And this is the time. Look, we can say what we want about the title and everything, but it's not totally gone, and they can't think like that, and they won't be allowed to think like that. And no matter what you do in the rest of the season, there's a European Cup to be won, and there needs to be kind of momentum going into those games, and players kind of ready for those games. And there'll be nothing better than Salah, Mane, and Keita getting back after a Liverpool team have basically conceded no goals in the time they've been away, and them to come back in the side and sort of look at it and be like, yes, we're ready now to kick on. We've got that foundation, at the back, Alisson, Fabinho, all these players sort of in their top form. And adding these two is a huge boost of confidence for the whole team coming back if Liverpool can kind of keep the results going till they do.
Excellent stuff. More stuff in the comments. Archie Brown said, I was sent to bed on half time during Istanbul. Dad told me I was losing. Dad there, misses his lad. Very, very poor form for Archie Brown. Very moody indeed. Phil, you're going.
Yeah.
I said that at the very, very start. You must be really excited. It's going to be a thriller. What time are you getting home? 4 a.m? Are you sleeping on the bus back here? What's the plan?
Well, you know what I mean? I could do without the extra time. I think we've got a little plan. We've got a little plan in London after the game. So, if the Reds could just box it off in 90, that'd be perfect. But,
you're not coming back. Are you staying over?
Oh, yeah, we're staying over back in
Amazing.
the morning. Yes, there's just no trains, are there, Neil? And the bus is not for us at this stage. But yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to it. It's a stadium I've only been to once as well, and it's a nice place to play football, and I think they'll be up for it. It will be a bit of a partisan atmosphere, I think, because they have shown that they can get up for it in recent games, and
yeah,
they'll be buoyed by that draw at Anfield. You could hear their end being really kind of, you could hear their end being really loud, and they'll be up for this one because they'll think they can cause us problems, and that's played into Liverpool hands before, and I think maybe Liverpool will be the team that have that know-how and experience to kind of work out a slightly mad game, a slightly mad atmosphere even, and there'll be loads of us there as well, so I'm sure there'll be a lot of noise from everyone, and it should be a big game. It is a big game, and again, like I said before, it's a chance for us to get a trophy, and there's no way and there's no reason why anyone should kind of be turning their nose up at that, no matter what cup it is.
Fuad Hasan, well, he goes when he can, well, he goes when he can for Liverpool. Fuad Hasan, well, he goes where he can, and he goes where he can for Liverpool. That's your talking Reds. Up the Reds.